Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. My humble salutations at the lotus feet of Sri Gurudev and Pujay Swamiji. My salutations to all our dear devotees. Our discussion this morning focuses on Hindu fasts and festivals. As Hindus, we are profoundly a religious group of people whose goal in life is self-realization and the ultimate attainment of God consciousness. Without any doubt, dear devotees, Hinduism is a religion which stirs the depths of the heart, leaving room for the practice of faith, devotion, and love. Gurudev, however, says that we do have a tendency to get tired on account of the monotonous work or actions that we engage in daily. Gurudev says that we want variety, we want relaxation, we want to see some change, we want something to cheer us up, to bring a smile to our faces, to bring peace of mind. How are we going to achieve this? According to Swami Shivananda, this can be achieved through active and sincere participation in fasts and festivals. All Hindu festivals, which encompasses fasts, have great spiritual and religious significance. The festival begins with devotees bathing at dawn, performing japa, kirtan, reciting sacred Sanskrit verses, and engaging in deep meditation. Bearing this in mind, dear devotees, our discussion this morning aims to elaborate on Hindu fasts and festivals with particular reference to the celebration of PURATTASI, the SKANDA SHASTI, MALAYA PAKSHUM, and we all are aware that the cycle of life is incomplete without the onset of death. Hence, we will also include the observance of All Souls' Day. Let us begin with the celebration of PURATTASI. PURATTASI is a Tamil word which means September. PURATTASI is a festival celebrated by many Hindus in South Africa of South Indian origin. At this juncture, dear devotees, we need to understand what the festival of PURATTASI is all about. PURATTASI is an annual festival in the Tamil calendar which occurs from mid-September to mid-October and is dedicated to the worship of Mahavishnu, who is the preserver in the Holy Trinity. During this period, devotees engage in a viratham, which is a fast or abstention. This time is devoted to the cleansing of the mind and body, which is achievable through the observance of strict discipline. This observance is accompanied by regular chanting and singing of kirtans. Very important to understand at this point is the significance of PURATTASI. During this pious or holy month, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in his reincarnation as Lord Venkateshwara. Associated with this festival are many legends, one of which is that Lord Vishnu came down to the earth plane in the month of PURATTASI. The form that he acquired was that of Lord Balaji. This is one of the main reasons for the flocking of devotees to the Tirupati temple in India during this time of the year. According to another legend, it is said that a long time ago in South India, there was a devastating drought in the month of September. It had not rained for some time. There were no crops to harvest, which meant ultimately starvation. Many people, therefore, turned to God, and repetitive and constant prayer was conducted. They made vows to the great Lord they worshipped, called Lord Vishnu. Lo and behold, rains came thereafter, and fresh harvests could be produced. Since then, every year during this time, Tamils throughout the world observe a fast which entails eating only vegetables. This is done in gratitude to Lord Vishnu. One needs to bear in mind, dear devotees, that the restriction to a vegetarian diet is not only an act of self-discipline. It has profound religious significance. It helps to purify the body, mind, and soul. It also helps to discipline the mind, removes waste and toxins from the body, as well as the revitalization of the body in its capacity to function well. It is indeed interesting to note that it also helps the mind to become more alert and sharper. How is the PURATTASI prayer performed? During PURATTASI, devotees fast for an entire month, but prayer offerings are made only on a Saturday. This is so because Saturday is free from the influence of the planet Saturn, believed to bring ill luck. Hence, on Saturdays, Lord Hanuman and Sri Balaji are worshipped. In addition, it must be borne in mind that in the month of PURATTASI, planets like Mercury and Ketha influence the earth. Therefore, the worship of Lord Vishnu with devotion and love will certainly help us to have a peaceful and happy life with good, obedient children. Of great importance is that bhakti is the main theme of all rituals in this month. It is said that the energies which are positive flows in abundance during this period and should therefore be a motivation for people to pray either at home or collectively at a temple. Prayer offerings are generally conducted in the late afternoon so that devotees can break their fast after making the prayer offering. Lord Vishnu is invoked by chanting holy verses from the Garuda Partu and Thirunam Padigam. Other practices worthy of noting that are followed during this holy month are that devotees abstain from the indulgence of smoking, the consumption of alcohol, and sexual activity. Devotees, rather, attempt or focus on the cleansing of their minds of any impure thoughts and observe a disciplined lifestyle. The festival of PURATTASI, without any doubt, brings the community together in a joint celebration. It is a union, dear devotees, that we must all strive for, especially during these difficult times. Dear devotees, remember that devotion to God during this Kali Yuga period is of vital importance, for this period is characteristic of man's excessive greed for power, his extreme hatred for fellow beings, his jealousy, his anger, and his intolerance. These vices have undoubtedly polluted the life of man in general all over the world. So let us therefore pray, pray, and pray for world peace. Moving on, and in keeping with spiritual progress, let us now focus on the observance of PITHR, also known as Mahalaya Paksha. PITHR is a 15 lunar day period during which time our ancestors are propitiated. It is a time that Hindus pay homage to their ancestors. This worship is done specifically through oblations of water and food offerings. PITHR, dear devotees, this year begins on the 20th of September and ends on the 6th of October. Hindus observe this period religiously by bathing often during the day, doing partial fasting, feeding the Brahmins, and donating to the poor and needy. It is believed that whatever is given as charity would directly reach the ancestors and immense merit would be accrued. Rites performed for each of the 15 days of the fortnight is considered to be both important and equal to that being performed in holy places like Gaya. Offerings made to the PITHRs during this fortnight reach them directly, as ordained by the god of death, Lord Yama. Offerings reach all departed souls, whether they are directly related to those offering them or not. Those ancestors who had lost their lives in an unusual manner or by accident or suicide would also be able to get the offerings, which would not be possible at other times. Those whose death dates are not known and annual rites cannot therefore be performed will also benefit by these offerings. Pila or sesame seeds tarpana and pinda pradana or rice ball offerings are made to departed ancestors during this period. It is said that food offerings reach the dead through the rays of the sun. Amazing, isn't it? It is important also to note that the offerings made give peace to the ancestors, and they in turn would bestow their blessings for health, longevity, knowledge, wealth, and liberation too, on those who perform the rites. This is according to sacred scriptures. It is also said, according to scriptures, that when the rites are not performed by the descendants for their ancestors, it would make them aimlessly wander in the earth plane. Such a state would result in unfavorable conditions for the family members. Performing rites to ancestors would therefore solve many problems related to health, marriage, money, family discord, etc. Feeding of the poor is essential or of vital importance during this time. Hence, it is appropriate at this point to elaborate on the scriptural reference to the observance of PITHR or Mahalaya Paksha. It is said that PITHR is related to the renowned hero of the Mahabharata, Karna. According to the Mahabharata, when Karna left his mortal coil, he ascended to the higher worlds, and the great charity that he performed on the earth plane was returned to him 100-fold. But alas, it was only gold and silver that he received. There was, sadly, no food for him in the higher world, simply because he had not done any charity of food on the earth plane. Karna then fervently prayed to Lord Yama. His prayer was answered. He was sent back to earth for 14 days to make up for this deficiency. For 14 days Karna fed the Brahmins and the poor, and also offered oblations of water. Lo and behold, dear devotees, on his return to the higher regions after 14 days, Karna had plenty of food. Hence, it is these 14 days that are commemorated during PITHR, otherwise known as Mahalaya Paksha. Due to the blessings of the god of death, it has therefore been ordained that offerings made during this period will undoubtedly benefit all the departed souls, whether they are connected to you or not. So saith Shivananda. Charity, therefore, in the form of food is of great significance at all times. This must not be done only during PITHR. Bearing this in mind, remember that life depends on food. Gurudev says that you cannot preach religion to empty stomachs. Gurudev goes on to say that the gift of food is the greatest gift. Therefore, give food in plenty, not only during Mahalaya Paksha, but all through the year. Let us not, dear devotees, take our ancestors for granted. Let us express our gratitude to them during this auspicious period of Mahalaya Paksha or PITHR by making food offerings and oblations of water to them with great sincerity and devotion. Hence, dear devotees, during this sacred period of PITHR, pray earnestly to God and your ancestors to cleanse your past karmas and to bring happiness and prosperity to your life. pleasing the Brahmins, poor and needy, and your other good deeds will please the souls of your ancestors. We will now focus on the festival of Skanda Shasti. The festival of Skanda Shasti is centered around the worship of Lord Subramanya, the son of Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. Skanda Shasti corresponds with the birthday of Lord Subramanya, which is also the 6th day of Shukla Paksha, which is the first fortnight between the new moon and full moon day in the month of Kartika, which is October or November. The main day of the festival is the 6th day of the month. Lord Subramanya, my dear devotees, is also known to his devotees as Muruga, Kartikeya, Guha, Shanmuga, Kumaresa, and Velayudhan. Lord Muruga or Lord Subramanya is Skanda. Skanda means attacker, and this is in reference to Lord Muruga's brave crusade against the demons. In his picture, Lord Subramanya holds a spear in his hand, just as Lord Shiva holds the trident. This is an emblem of power. It indicates that he is the ruler of the universe. His vehicle is the peacock. The Lord rides on the peacock. This signifies that he has conquered pride, egoism, and vanity. There is a cobra under his feet, which is symbolic of his absolute fearlessness, immortality, and wisdom. Vali and Devayane are Lord Subramanya's two wives, who stand on either side of him. Vali represents the power of action, and Devayane represents the power of knowledge. Sometimes he stands alone with his spear. In this pose, he is known as Velayudhan. This is his nirguna aspect, which is free from the illusory power of Maya. Nirguna, dear devotees, is the eternal, omnipresent divine consciousness. The 6 heads represent the 6 rays or attributes, which are wisdom, dispassion, strength, fame, wealth, and divine powers. These rays is an indication that Lord Muruga is the source of the 4 Vedas, the Vedangas, and the 6 schools of philosophy. In addition, they are indicative of the Lord's control over the 5 organs of knowledge as well as the mind. These denote that the Lord is the Supreme Being with thousands of heads and hands. His head turned in all directions is symbolic of the Lord being all-pervading. It is therefore imperative to note that the Lord can therefore multiply and assume forms at will. So saith Shivananda. Lord Subramanya's temples can be found in Udupi in Tiruchendur, in the Palani Hills in Sri Lanka, and in Thiruparankundaram. It is said that Lord Subramanya spent his days of childhood in Tiruchendur and attained Mahasamadhi at Kartigamam. According to our Divine Master Swami Shivananda, if you go to Kartigamam and worship with faith, devotion, and piety, and stay in the temple there for 2 or 3 days, the Lord will undoubtedly grant you his vision. You will attain rich spiritual experiences. A huge festival is held in the Murugan temple every year on Skanda Shasti, and it is a 10-day-long event in Tamil Nadu. The festival commemorates the destruction of evil by the Supreme General Lord Kartikeya, the son of Lord Shiva, the son whom we have referred to thus far as Lord Subramanya. Skanda Shasti falls in November. It is on this day that Lord Subramanya defeated the demon Taraka. On this day, elaborate festivals are held with great pomp and grandeur. Devotees of Lord Subramanya organize bhajans and kirtan programs, and this is executed in a grand scale. Thousands of people are fed sumptuous meals. Gurudev says that many incurable diseases are cured if one visits Palani and worships Lord Subramanya there. So much of pomp and glory is associated with this festival that the Lord's Leelas are even dramatized on stage in the temples in South India. This is the dramatization of Lord Skanda killing the demons, which is symbolic of the destruction of evil through the constant and sincere worship of Lord Skanda, also known as Lord Subramanya. The festival is in fact concluded with this enactment. In many places, the festival commences 6 days prior to the Shasti itself and concludes on the day of the Shasti. During these days, devotees recite various inspiring hymns and read stories connected with Lord Subramanya. Devotees worship the Lord and take kavadi. They go on pilgrimage to the various Subramanya shrines. According to our Gurudev, the most propitiatory rite that a devotee of Lord Subramanya can undertake is indeed the carrying of the kavadi. It is said that the benefits that a devotee carrying kavadi can derive are 1,000,000-fold greater than the little pain that the devotee inflicts upon himself. At the Shivananda ashram in Rishikesh, India, Skanda Shasti is observed for 6 days, preceding and including the Shasti day. Devotees of Lord Subramanya live on milk and fruit and do rigorous sadhana. They arise at 4 a.m. during Brahma Muhurta and meditate on the Lord. On each of the 6 days, all the devotees do japa of the mantra Om Sarvanabhavaya Namaha as much as possible. Gurudev says that even greetings are exchanged chanting the mantra. How divine! Lectures are delivered on Subramanya Tattva, or the divine sport of the Lord. During the evening satsangs, hymns in praise of Lord Subramanya are sung. Readings are taken or read from Gurudev's book, Lord Shanmukha and His Worship. These hymns and readings, no doubt, serve as an inspiration to the devotees to lead a pious and peaceful life, especially during this Kali Yuga period. The evening satsangs on Skanda Shasti day, which is the 6th day, is devoted entirely to the adoration of Lord Skanda. To atone for our sins or wrongdoings, Gurudev advocates the following prayer to Lord Subramanya. Gurudev says, pray from the bottom of your heart, and I quote, O my Lord Subramanya, O all-merciful Lord, I have neither faith nor devotion. I do not know how to worship Thee in the proper manner or to meditate on Thee. I am Thy child who has lost his way, forgotten the goal and Thy name. Is it not Thy duty, O compassionate Father, to take me back? O Mother Vali, will you not introduce me to Thy Lord? Thy love for Thy children is deeper and truer than that of anyone else in this world. Though I have become Thy worthless and undutiful child, O beloved Mother Vali, pardon me. Make me dutiful and faithful. I am Thine from this very second, always Thine, all is Thine. It is the mother's duty to correct, educate, and mold her reckless child when it strays aimlessly on the wrong path. Remove the gulf or the veil of delusion that separates me from Thee. Bless me, enlighten me, take me back to Thy holy feet. I have nothing more to say. This is my fervent prayer to Thee and Thy Lord, my beloved and ancient parents. Dear devotees, having been conscientized about Skanda Shasti, may Lord Subramanya shower His grace upon you. May His blessings grant you peace, bliss, and prosperity. So saith Shivananda. Dear devotees, we have now come to that part of the discussion which focuses on the observance of All Souls' Day. All Souls' Day is the commemoration of the dearly departed. It is a day of prayer and remembrance for the souls of those who have died. All Souls Day constitutes an integral part of Hindu practice and worship. It is indeed an ideal opportunity for Hindus to pay their respects to the departed souls. Our Divine Master, Sri Swami Shivananda, highlighted the purpose of All Souls Day, and I quote, "From now onward, the first of every month will be observed as All Souls Day. On this day, we must offer special prayer for the peace of the departed souls." Unquote. Gurudev also says that we need to practice dharma, which is the conduct of right or correct behavior, that is sadly lost as a result of us living in a modernized and materialistic world. Hence, setting aside a day of prayer for our dearly departed will undoubtedly add to our dharmic way of life. Swami Shivananda says that the departed souls are in great grief. As a result, they look to us to help them. Hence, it is our duty to set aside a specific day as a day of special veneration for our dearly departed. At this point, dear devotees, it is imperative to note that our Pujya Swamiji, Swami Sahajananda, and the Divine Life Society of South Africa have, since 2005, adopted this day, the first of every month, as All Souls Day. In his book, What Happens to the Soul After Death, our Gurudev explains that Kirtan or prayer is a mighty force which helps departed souls in their progress towards heaven and their quiet passage through the intermediate state. Prayer, kirtan, and good thoughts from relatives and friends can therefore give real solace to the departed souls. Gurudev goes on to inform us that the departed souls remain in a state of unconsciousness or swoon immediately after death. They cannot feel that they are detached from their previous gross material bodies. Hence, prayer and kirtan create a potent vibration and awakening in their stupefied condition of mind and restores their consciousness that has been veiled. This results in the departed souls beginning to realize that they are not really in their gross material bodies. Arising from our inability to detach from our loved ones and the pain associated with it, we do have a tendency to grieve or weep uncontrollably. According to Gurudev, the weeping and uncontrolled grief of relatives give departed souls pain and drags them down from the astral plane. This, in turn, may seriously retard them on their way to the heaven world. This, Gurudev says, produces serious injury to them. Gurudev says that while the souls are sinking peacefully, and just when they are ready to have a glorious awakening in heaven, they are aroused into a vivid remembrance of the mundane life by the weeping and wailing of their friends and relatives, thus resulting in the producing of similar vibrations in the minds of the dearly departed, which thereafter leads to them experiencing severe pain and discomfort. Therefore, Gurudev advocates that both friends and relatives should perform prayer and kirtan for the peace of the departed soul. Only then can they really help and comfort the dearly departed. No doubt, collective prayer as performed at the Shivananda Ghat on All Souls Day exercises great influence on the positive state of the departed souls. Bearing this in mind and in accordance with the instructions of our Divine Master, Sri Swami Shivananda, the first of every month is observed as All Souls Day at the Shivananda Ghat. The function at the Ghat commences at 5 p.m. and ends at 6:30 p.m. during summer times, and from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the months of June and July. The procedure followed during the sacred function is as follows. First, illuminated lights are floated in the Ganga fountain at Shivananda Ghat, with Ganga Aarti played over the sound system. This is followed by a short havan performed by a qualified pandit. Members of the bereaved families are encouraged to sit for the havan for the peace of the departed soul. Thereafter, devotees of the society and members of the bereaved families sing in chorus sweet and soul-elevating bhajans while walking around the Shivananda Ghat. The soul-stirring chanting of the Sri Ram mantra is melodiously rendered for several minutes towards the end of the program. Bereaved families are encouraged to repeat the mantra at home for the dearly departed. It will most certainly bring peace to the dearly departed soul. The program culminates with the Shanti part and the distribution of prasad and spiritual literature. It's also important to note that on this auspicious day, poor feeding is done in the name of the dearly departed. Dear devotees, please be reminded, however, that due to COVID-19 protocols, All Souls Day Havan and Satsang is currently conducted online. Our next online offering to the dearly departed will be observed on the 1st of October. Remember, dear devotees, that participation in this offering will undoubtedly bring about a spiritual awakening and transformation in your life. It is hoped, dear devotees, that the discussion today on Hindu fasts and festivals and observances have left us further enlightened. As Gurudev says, life is a pilgrimage. The wise man does not rest by the roadside inns. He marches directly to the illimitable domain of eternal bliss, his ultimate destination. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. When Gurudev is near, why should I fear? Superhero secrets of spiritual darlings and reminders of lessons we have learnt from beloved Gurudev and Pujya Swamiji for our everyday life. Hari Om to our beautiful spiritual darlings. My name is Teacher Videsh, and like you, I have been involved in the ashram from the time I was very little. I have been blessed with the guidance of Sri Gurudev, Sri Swami Shivananda, Pujya Swamiji, Swami Sahajananda, and many of our teachers in the ashram. I have been waiting to meet the superheroes of the ashram that Swamiji and Gurudev told me about. They also told me that you know all the secrets to live in a time like this. When I thought about all of you, I too remembered the secrets Swamiji told me about. Like, last week, I was so sad when my auntie got sick. People were talking about the big bad coronavirus, and I was feeling a little bit sad. My mum told me that Gurudev was planning on taking her to be with him. I then remembered Swamiji's message, when Gurudev is near, why should I fear? In the month before, I heard about the bad, wrong things that people were doing by stealing from shops and burning things down, and felt that my parents were really very scared. I took my dad's hand and asked him to close his eyes and made him repeat after me, Gurudev, please protect me, Gurudev. Dad said that all his fear was gone when he repeated those words. I then started remembering all the superhero secrets that I knew, and I remembered that I was coming to talk to you, and you would help me remember more of these secrets. Number 1, the power of the divine name. Do you remember how Swamiji always spoke to us about the books that Gurudev and Swamiji wrote that spoke about the great power in the divine name, and how he wanted us to chant it, and reminded us of stories of how that name, if we chant it as often, will come to us automatically when we are in danger? What an awesome practice! He reminded us about writing the name, just like the blurry sparkle, little Shrishti here, who is doing her Likit Japa. We can also sing the name and chant the name, so we can use it as the most powerful weapon. In my mind, I think of the divine name as a shield to protect me. Swamiji's favorite mantra was Sri Ram Jai Ram. Number 2, eating healthy foods. Sometimes the foods we eat cause us to be worried, to not feel healthy in our minds, and make us feel weak. I always remember from Gurudev's books about the nature of animals. The cow that eats grass is always calm. Look at the lion that eats other animals. Isn't the lion always angry? So what are some of the good foods? They are the green leafy vegetables, almonds, dried fruit, peanut butter, green tea, fresh fruit, health tonics. What are the foods we should avoid? Cold drink, sweets, junk food, takeout, and non-vegetarian food. Be like Carrot Boy and eat your veggies and stay happy and healthy. Number 3, doing asanas. I thought about all the Shivananda Academy lessons where the teachers used to remind us that a healthy body leads to a healthy mind, and I remembered that also. When we do asanas, we have a chance to also work on our mental well-being through the breathing exercises. Have you noticed how sometimes just by breathing in our meditation, we can change the way we feel? I always remember the Shivananda Pranayama and how by controlling my breathing in and out while chanting, my mind is clear again and I don't feel the heavy, sad feeling. It is very much like counting to 10 before I say anything that I know is making me angry and responding from anger. Number 4, I remember all the special tonics that Swamiji said will make us healthy and keep us healthy, like apple cider vinegar, Sweden bitter, and how even the repetition of the divine name is a tonic. So also is the daily satsang. And then I thought about all the advice that the older spiritual darlings of this group will share with me. And I thought to remind them of the precious tools that we have. What we read and see should be limited for our mental well-being. Swamiji spent his life telling us to get rid of Mr. TV. In today's world, Mr. TV has grown his big, bad, ugly family into gaming devices of destruction, smartphones that expose us to unlimited adult content, and almost takes our hand to lead us into the most destructive paths. I was thinking about how sometimes we see healthy people who have COVID not being able to fight it because of fear. And I realized what Gurudev and Swamiji tried to warn us about, how what we see and hear and spend our time in frames our thoughts. In the time that I had COVID this year, I shut myself off from all the news of the numbers of people that were sick. I stopped watching any videos of people falling ill and dying, and I filled my entire home with bhajans and chanted. I believe that was the secret to my entire family fighting this ugly illness that was taking the lives of many. In my mind, when I thought about my worry for families that live so far from me, all worried about each other, and the pain we are going through because of loss and distance, I started using technology so we could connect and offer satsang together for people that were sad. So you see, you can pray whenever you can and try to start your own online satsang. I also started tuning in to all the positive YouTube videos and started listening to our daily pre-recorded satsangs, and I remembered the magic of connection to worship God. I even stopped missing Sunday satsang so much because we could use technology to connect. In times of the greatest helplessness, when we see people fall ill, I remembered how we must use our hands, bodies, and minds to serve. And then I realized how when we serve and think about someone else, how small our own problems become. Sometimes I think that we must all realize that we have the best tools for a time like this. Swamiji gave us the best advice and taught us how to be instruments of service. And I know deep inside that being close to them has offered us the best protection to journey in this lifetime. What were some of their lessons? Haven't we learnt about making sandwiches at ashram and dropping them off to people in need? Have you thought about making sandwiches and dropping those off to people in need and people who are sick? Our greatest gift to Pujya Swamiji and Gurudev is to use all the gifts and the talents that they have blessed us with to serve. If you can sing and chant, then teach that to your friends in time of distress. Host satsangs with your family experiencing fear and loss. If you can write poems about the lessons we learn in the ashram, and from reading their books to remind people about their own superpower to heal when they have forgotten themselves. What about making pretty pictures and craft items for those who are not feeling well? If you are a good speaker, take every opportunity to speak about Gurudev and Pujya Swamiji's lessons in your life. If you see that people follow you on social media, start posting information about their great lessons and spread their work and their word. For you see, Pujya Swamiji and Gurudev have always told us that we have been born with them many times before to come into the ashram. Remember always that you are chosen by them as spiritual darlings. They built schools, clinics, institutions like our ashram as a reminder of service to humanity. And unlike other saints and sages who poured their magic in performing supernatural tricks, they poured their magic into their writings, which will be there for us long after they have left. And isn't this true? Do you know that people have been saved from the darkest thoughts by reading their writings? Lives have been saved by taking in the magic of their beautiful words. Reading their books has been described as satsang. Remember, the greatest gift that you can become in this lifetime is living the message of your Guru by remembering their entire life was the message. And the best way to grow is by living our lives based on their teachings. It is time that we became the superheroes that our gurus have guided us to be. We are born for a time like this to spread their mission, their teachings, and their word. I will be tuning in to all the wonderful lessons you are all to become in this life, and I know that this is why the adults are going to learn from spiritual darlings, just like my Pujya Swamiji promised. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om, dear camp participants. Thank you for tuning into our yoga camp online lessons. Please note that satsang will commence at 11 a.m. and a WhatsApp link will be sent to you shortly. Om.